All right, so good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And as soon as I go around this corner here, that sun will be out of, so it's not this weird glare. Well, it's kind of got a weird haze out here this morning, and the light is really bizarre. Anyway, today is September 30th. The baseball season for everybody not going to the playoffs is over. The Royals season is done as of yesterday. The Royals obviously did not have a very good season. My prediction was very, very off. Now, I was going to say that my prediction was somewhat predicated on Salvador Perez not getting hurt, but then again, Salvador Perez was not going to make the difference in about 25 wins for the Royals. There's just a lot of things that did not go right for the Royals. Even though I knew they weren't going to go to the playoffs this year, I had a lot of high hopes or good feelings for them coming basically after the way they finished the last 2 months of the 2018 season. And they went back and signed some veterans in the offseason, and ran some of those guys out there again that I didn't understand what they were doing. If I was Dayton Moore and Ned Yost for the 2019 season, it would have been I would have done things a lot differently. I would not have signed Billy Hamilton. I mean, you saw what the Royals did in the last 2 months with Brett Phillips out there. I mean, Brett Phillips is, last season he struck out a ton. When he makes contact, he hits the ball hard. His exit velocity on his hits are very, very high. It's just a matter of him making contact, and we already know he's a great defender. I mean, so that automatically puts him in a better, and he can run. And so that automatically puts him in a better category than Billy Hamilton. And there's just so many wasted at-bats this year of guys that just were not good hitters. And then, obviously the bullpen was a major problem. Everybody they signed just blew up in their face, from re-signing Willie Peralta to Brad Boxberger to taking flyers on guys like Drew Storen, who I actually don't think he actually ever was called up. Just the Rule 5 guys they never even panned out, and they were returned to their team. Sam McWilliams and I think, was it Chris Ellis? Yeah, it was a very rough season for the Royals, and I'm not sitting here saying that I would, if I was the manager and the GM, like some out of the park baseball, which is a very very realistic baseball sim on the computer. It's tough, I try to replicate what the Royals do on there and then try to go my own direction. And it's tough to take a team like the Royals in 2019 and do something well with them, and without cheating. So I understand the limitations and the problems that that the Royals front office faces. So, a few things here before we kind of get into what the offseason may look like. So, congratulations to Jorge Soler, the first Kansas City Royals hitter to ever lead the league in home runs. He finished with 48. I think it was 47. So, congratulations to Soler. I think it was 48. I think he hit 2 home runs yesterday. Or no, did he just hit 1? I can't remember. All I know is that he led the league in home runs, and he's the first Royal to ever do that. And congratulations. He shattered the record set by Moose 2 years ago. And it's a great accomplishment. It really is. Whit Merrifield played in 162 games. That's nothing to slouch at. And he led the league in hits for the second straight season, becoming the first right-handed batter to lead the league in hits since Kirby Puckett, who obviously Kirby Puckett is in the Hall of Fame. So Whit Merrifield, congratulations on another very, very productive, very great season. The Royals have some pieces there. Some things of concern. Alberto Mondesi is going to have surgery on his shoulder. Not a good look. They're saying they're hoping he's ready for opening day, which means how much game time is in, how much is he going to get into spring training to get, to get up to speed, to get into game shape, to get his bat ready. So a lot of concern, in my opinion, with Mondesi on what the Royals are going to do there. And I'll get to some of those thoughts in a second. As for congratulations on the pitching side, there's not a ton of congrats to go around. The pitching was pretty awful this year. There were a few things here and there that were somewhat hopeful, but for the most part, the pitching was an absolute disaster this season, and that's the reason why the Royals lost 100 games. The Royals offense, it's not a playoff offense by any stretch of the imagination. There's still too many holes in the lineup, but the pitching is really what let the Royals down this year. Just their staff is just horrendous. Longtime Royals fans will remember the bullpen from the 1999 season, which was statistically I think it was the worst bullpen in baseball history. I have to go back and look that up, and I don't know if this bullpen was worse than that, but it felt like it. It felt a lot worse. At least the 1999 team was fun to watch because they were all in on the young players. They were all in. And with Carlos Fabulous and Carlos Beltran and Mike Sweeney and Jermaine Dye and Joe Randa, who was actually in his second stint with the Royals, but wasn't exactly young. And then they had some veterans to fill in. Now, granted, they lost 95, 96, 97 games that year. Because their pitching was atrocious, and they improved by 16 games in 2000. That's why we thought that maybe 2001 they were going to maybe be sneak in the playoffs, be a dark horse to win the division, and it all fell apart because, well, we're not going to get into that. That's not what this video is about. Anyway, so congrats are over. So Ned Yost, congratulations on winning more games in Royals history than any other manager. He does finish with a below 500 record, really, because he was over 500 until these past two seasons. So that was, I'm not going to say he tarnished his legacy these last 2 years. He could take it. He put his big boy britches on, and he took one for the team. And I think the worst of it is behind us now. So Ned Yost is gone as the Royals manager. David Glass is out as the Royals owner. We're going to have a new owner, and I forget his name, but there was another video where I talked about him a little bit. And then we're going to have a new manager. Dayton Moore is still the general manager, so the owner, general manager, and manager, two of those three spots are going to be brand new in 2020. That's a significant shift in the organization. And it's going to be, now with the general manager still there, I'm not going to say it's going to be a shift organizational philosophy, but the new owner, he is going to have some input. I've heard that he's not an extremely hands-on guy, but he's going to be more hands-on than David Glass was, who was very, very hands-off. Like I almost, like he's not even there. And that's mostly because his son was there on a day-to-day basis. So that's going to be a very interesting thing as the Royals go into the offseason and what type of players they're going to be looking for to fill in holes on the roster, which there are a lot. The biggest question the Royals face, well, other than the pitching, is what happens with Alex Gordon. Alex has made it very clear he's not going to go anywhere else except Kansas City. This is where he started his career, and he has said he will end his career here. He's not going to go to another team. He said he would. He's either going to. Obviously, his contract. He has one more year left in his contract if the Royals pick up the option. The Royals are not going to pick up the option. They will decline it. There is a $4 million buyout, and if he wants to play again, he's going to have to sign a new deal. So essentially, if the Royals pick up his option for his last year of his contract, they're going to have to pay him like $22 million. They're not going to do that. He's not worth $22 million anymore. The Royals are going to have to buy him out for $4 million and then re-sign him for another deal. And Gordon has said that is an option, and that's how he would continue to play. He knows that the Royals are going to decline his option. It's a financial decision at this point, and Gordon understands that. So, what would it take to get him back? I don't know if it would be on a 1-year contract or maybe on a 2-year contract with a mutual option or even a team option. But it's not going to be more than $8 million per year, which essentially would give him $12 million. The Royals are going to save $10 million if they bring him back on a contract, and that's pretty much what everybody has said would happen. Now, do you want Alex Gordon back? You know, the haters out there will say, no, we don't want Alex Gordon back. He sucks. I mean, Gordon had he had his best season, since 2015. And he started off really hot, and he really was nothing more than just a punch and Judy hitter in the second half. He didn't hit for very much power. His slugging percentage was under 400 for the season. So, he's definitely not the same hitter he used to be. He's still a Gold Glove caliber outfielder, and he probably will win another Gold Glove this season. And it's going to be interesting to see what the Royals do. There's nobody in the minor leagues that can step in and play left field for next season. The Royals have a very significant lack of position player depth, notably in the outfield ranks in the minor leagues. Really, the best player, or at least the outfielder that had the best season this year, was Brewer Hicklin, who had a very fine season for Wilmington. That's high A ball, and Wilmington is where usually hitters go to die. It's the Carolina League. The Carolina League is just notorious on hitters. They're pitcher-friendly ballparks, and it's pitcher-friendly weather. It's not ideal for hitters. So you have to you always have to look at stats there and kind of readjust them. So one of the things that Brewer Hicklin was good at, he had good numbers there. Brewer Hicklin is not going to be in the Royals starting lineup. And the one thing that's, at least not an opening day, the one thing that is very interesting about him, he's 23 years old. He's not young. I mean, and a lot of these Royals players in the minor leagues, and I don't have their names, a lot of them I read through this list of their top 10 players this year in terms of performance. A lot of these guys are 23, 24 years old and still in A-ball. And I'm just, well, of course they're having good seasons in A-ball if they're 23, 24 years old, because they're facing 18 and 19-year-old kids on other teams. And they're just dominating. They're physically more mature. So I'm really, really concerned about the hitting depth in the minor leagues. The pitching is there. Jackson Kowar, Brady Singer, Chris Bubik, Daniel Lynch, and then there's the other, the big guy. What is his name? I think he's from Texas. He's a big boy. He's like 6'4", 270 pounds. He is a hoss. I cannot remember his name. Anyway, the Royals had a lot of very fine performances from starting pitchers in the minors this year. Tremendous performances, and that is very, very encouraging. What's going to be interesting to see is that what are they going to do with them next year? The Royals need talented pitchers up here. I mean, Junis and Keller will probably, be in the rotation again next year. The Royals missed an opportunity to trade Danny Duffy when they had the chance, and so I'm assuming Duffy will be there too. Duffy is, in my opinion, I would just cut bait with him, trade him for whatever you can get him, whatever you can get for him. He's just not there. I'm ready to see these guys come up. I'm ready to see the young talent, the young pitchers come up and get their major league experience in while the Royals are still in a transitional phase. The Royals have said, and it seems like a lot of the experts in baseball say 2021, definitely by 2022, the Royals are going to be in contention. My whole thing is that if you're waiting until 2021 or 2022 to call up these pitchers, I mean, that's when you're expecting to win, and that's the window of opportunity is closing on some of the talented hitters that you have in your lineup right now that are going to be reaching their arbitration or their free agency years. Do you really want all your pitchers to be rookies then? Or would you rather have them in their second or even third year of baseball? That's kind of where I'm coming from on this whole thing. I made it very clear I would have put these guys in the 40-man roster this season and got them up here, and I know that some people said that was really aggressive and unrealistic, and I knew the Royals wouldn't do that, but I would definitely start the season with them in the rotation. The Royals are going to have to go out and get a starting pitcher who can win baseball games, like James Shields in 2013. They're going to have to make a move for that. And whether it's through a trade or signing a free agent pitcher, I think the Royals, one of the things they should look at is one of the guys they gave up to get James Shields, and that's Jake Odorizzi. Jake Odorizzi will be available, and he's a guy I think the Royals can afford and build around. And when I say it'd be a nice homecoming for him, I mean he never technically played for the Royals. He was just in the minor league system, but he was a big part of the trade to come to Kansas City from the Brewers organization when the Royals traded Zach Greinke in that tremendous trade that brought Kane and Escobar and Odorizzi to the Royals, and then he was a big part in obviously getting Wade Davis and James Shields here. It was Odorizzi and Will Meyer going the other direction. And I believe Mike Montgomery, too, who is back on the Royals as well. In a perfect world, you would like the Royals to have these guys come up from the minor league system and fill in, so you don't have to, go out and supplement with free agents or trades. I think the Royals have enough talent in the pitching ranks. I think one of these guys needs to be traded. There was a lot of talk this year about trading Whit Merrifield. I think the Royals should just, and I was one of these guys, because he's the only guy who can bring something back in return. I'm kind of going the other way now. I'm thinking the Royals need to keep Merrifield. But what I would do now instead is trade one of the young pitchers who's just about Major League ready. And you're rolling the dice when you do that. But the Royals need better options in the outfield, especially if Gordon is not coming back. Soler is mostly a designated hitter. He's somewhat of a liability in right field, even though he has a great arm. He's not the greatest defensive right fielder. Brett Phillips is your center fielder. Okay. I think he starts on opening day, and you play him all season long in center field. And if he hits a $170 for the entire season, then you can go in a different direction. But you've got to give him the opportunity to play on a consistent basis where he's not always looking over his shoulder. Bubba Starling had an audition this year, obviously. Bubba Starling is not going to hit for enough power at this level. Brett Phillips still has the potential, obviously, to be a much better hitter. But the Royals need another bat in the corner outfield spot, and they're going to need two if Gordon retires. Gordon retires, the Royals are going to be forced to make a trade for somebody. They're going to have to go out and get a player ready to go who can come in and be a major league starter right away, right now, and because they don't have that in the minor leagues. The second, another topic that they're going to have to address is shortstop. Mondesi was hurt this year, and he's got off-season surgery. They obviously have Bobby Witt Jr., who will be a shortstop when he comes up with the Royals at some point. And Witt has looked really good, and I think he's at low A ball. He might be at, I don't know, Lexington or Burlington. I think he's where he was at this year after he signed his contract. Signed really early, signed quick. He just wants to play baseball. You're probably not going to see him in 2020 with the Royals. He's definitely going to be the Royals starting shortstop in 2021. So what do you do with Mondesi at that point? You move him to second base? Do you trade him? Do you let him walk? What about Merrifield? I mean, Merrifield's your second base. I know Merrifield can play in right field, but I think Merrifield is better at second base than he is in the outfield. And this is where I go back to maybe one of these guys gets traded as well. Because the Royals also have Brady McConnell, who they drafted right after Brady Singer. Or was that right after Bobby Witt Jr.? Anyway, it doesn't. He's another shortstop, third base, second baseman type player. That he's going to be ready sooner than later. The Royals have some flexibility here. They have Hunter Dozier at third base. Dozier finished the 2018 season very strong, and then he kept it up in 2019 and was one of the most consistent hitters other than Whit Merrifield on the entire roster. As for catcher, Salvador Perez is going to be back. We don't know what he's going to have left in the tank, but we'll see. First base, that's another huge mystery for the Royals. Ryan O'Hearn, again, hit 14 home runs. And, man, when he hits the ball, he hits it a ton. But he just hits into so many outs. And some of that is just bad luck. He still has a good on-base percentage. He has a good batting eye. He draws a lot of walks. The Royals brought in Ryan McBroom from the Mets, in the last couple months of the season, and he looked decent. They say he has power, but he didn't really show anything. He didn't show he had too much power playing for the Royals here for the final 6 weeks. But the Royals just don't have much beyond, at first base either. So again, this is going to have to be an organizational change in philosophy. Where do they go? Because the Royals have significant questions to answer. Let's assume Alex Gordon's going to retire. Okay? Alex Gordon retires. You have to address what you're doing in left field. You have to really address what you're doing in right field as well. Because Soler's your designated hitter. You can't throw Soler out there and just say, oh, well, Cheslor Cuthbert's going to be our DH. Cuthbert's not good enough to hit on a daily basis like that. So you're going to have to address left field. You're going to have to address right field. You're going to have to figure out what you're doing in the middle infield positions too, with shortstop. If Mondesi is just not going to be ready to go, and he's always facing this injury issue. He's a fragile player. He plays very hard, and his body just breaks down more easily than other guys. They're going to have to address what they're doing at first base. That's 4 positions that the Royals really need to figure something out at. I'd say they need to figure out something at catcher, but Perez is coming back. But Valoria didn't really show anything in an extended look. Cam Gallagher is who he is. He's a backup catcher at best. Nick Denny or Diney, whatever his name is organizational fodder. I mean, these guys are all nice guys. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to bag on them, but they're not pieces of a puzzle. They're that's going to win anything. There's going to have to be a major shift in what the Royals are looking for. People like to put all these projected lineups out. And say, well, this is what the Royals lineup's going to look like. And I'm not going to do that because the Royals are going to go out and they're going to sign some people in the offseason. They're going to make some trades, and there's going to be some new guys out there that we just can't anticipate. Like at this point last year when I talked about center field, I was just like, well, yeah, I mean, it's going to be Brett Phillips. Brett Phillips is going to be your starting center fielder for the entire 2019 season. Then they go out and sign Billy Hamilton. And John Jay the season before that. So it's going to be a work in progress for the Royals. And I'm going to be here to catalog what they're going to do. They're not going to make any decisions for a while. I mean, they got to get through the playoffs first. And then once the season ends, there'll be some, we'll go through the arbitration stuff, and then we'll see what happens after that. And see who the biggest question will be what happens with Gordon. And then once Gordon makes his decision, we'll see what we do from there. So I am at work now, so I will talk to you guys later. Have a good day.